Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to draw some of your guys' OCs, or well, I guess just one OC. I originally wanted to draw two, but I've had a lot of life changes happen over the past month that I kind of wanted to talk about this video. But I ended up drawing one OC. A few weeks ago I asked you guys and Instagram to submit some OC designs and I would review them and draw a couple. I really liked how this came out. Of course, this OC was beautiful, but of course, every single OC submission I got, I absolutely loved, and I would love to keep doing this. So if you guys end up really liking this design or you like how the video came out, definitely let me know if you would like some more of these. It's definitely a good practice for me for digital art, and I've been having a really fun time just translating your guys' designs into my own style. So the OC that I'm drawing today is Wing from the artist Frankie on Instagram. I'll be sure to link the original source design of this character as well as the Instagram page of the artist. If Frankie's watching this right now, thank you so much for submitting your OC design. It's a beautiful character, and I loved Bug as well, but I was obviously drawn towards Wing since I love drawing women so much. Frankie has been really supportive of my art for a very long time at this point. I believe they were following my original art account, so it's been months, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, they have amazing art, and I really hope that you guys go check them out as well. So I just finished up rendering out my idea of the sketch that I wanted on paper using the references that Frankie gave me, and now I'm going into Procreate to block out the main colors, lighting sources, and line art. I loved drawing this character. I feel like at some point the line art style and the way I drew the eyes, something about this character really reminded me of Demon Slayer for some reason. I don't know if that was just my bias of the way I line art, but something about the way the drawing turned out for this just seemed like Demon Slayer to me. I ended up kind of biting myself in the ass. Wait, okay, take that back. I ended up doing most of the rendering and line art on the same layer. I had like the main thumbnail of the color scheme that I wanted underneath, but then I would render and line on top. And I think that kind of bit me in the ass later on, because then I was constantly like redoing the line art and going over the shapes over and over and over again. I ended up finding kind of a happy medium with it by blocking out different areas of the hair using the selection brush so that I could focus on one area at a time. But yeah, just another mistake to make in order for me to get better at digital art. I really enjoyed how the rendering came out for this piece. I don't know if I want to do necessarily this again, but it was definitely a learning process for sure. I feel like I learned techniques in this drawing session that would really speed up my workflow in the future, and it kind of feels a little bit more comforting to draw when I can draw something that's more representative of my style. I feel like the more experience I have with digital art, the more I can communicate what I want out of the digital art, you know? As an artist that's been drawing traditionally for my whole life, digital art is pretty overwhelming to me. I don't know if that's like a hot take or if anybody else relates to that, but digital art does not come easily. It's just uncomfortable, it's not relaxing the way that traditional art is. I don't feel as connected to the artwork. That can be kind of like overstimulating and motivate me to do something else or do like traditional art, you know? Pushing through, I recognize the utility that digital art brings. It's kind of like a necessary evil for me to become more of an industry artist. It's kind of like necessary. I'm also trying to see it more positively. It can help me communicate ideas that I just wouldn't feasibly be able to with traditional art. The more experience I have with it, the quicker my workflow is, and the more satisfied I get from the drawing. Like, I go into this expecting it to be easy and achievable the way traditional art is for me, because I've been drawing for 10 years, I should be able to do this too. The real fact of the matter is, digital art is a totally different medium, and I actually just talked about this on my TikTok as well recently. I made a video that discussed the kind of toxic mentality in the art community that says using references is kind of like cheating or copying or tracing and is not actually real art. I made a video joking about that because as a digital artist, it's so easy. I mean, if you just want to make a pose, just take a picture of yourself, right? And then you can draw on top of that and shape it to the drawing that you're making. It's like making your own references at home. Kind of like basic techniques for everybody. And I got a commenter mentioning that artists who don't need to use references in their art should be proud of that. And my response to that was that there's a huge stigma in the art community against using references, and essentially any narrative that prides themselves on not using references in context to artists that do use references, it's inherently toxic to the art community. In the given context, it's inherently harmful. But anyways, the point that I was getting at is that another commenter mentioned that their art teacher taught the class that kids nowadays growing up with digital art and digital technology are going to inherently fail later on in their careers because they're using digital art as a crutch and not learning traditional art mediums. And okay, I don't know about you guys, but that was so gatekeepy to hear. That sounded so harmful and motivated by jealousy, like more than anything I've ever heard from the stories I've heard of art teachers. Now, I've never taken an art class, so if I'm just repeating the same bullshit that everybody's used to hearing from their art teachers, then correct me if I'm wrong. But that just sounds so harmful to come from the perspective as an educator, to have that perspective of digital art, especially in the year of our Lord, 2023. I can say with confidence, as somebody who has drawn traditionally for 10 years, traditional art did not prepare me for digital art. Like, I don't even think I had to explain that to you guys. I think anybody with a working brain who uses the internet in the past 20 years could have told you that. But yeah, it's not even comparable. There are two totally different mediums. To me, it's like saying that your watercolor skills will never be up to par because you're using oil painting as a crutch. Like, that sounds like gibberish when you say it like that. It's absolute nonsense. They're totally different mediums and should be treated as such. After some point, some digital art feels more like programming. And digital art itself is such a vague term to begin with. It can mean anything from 3D rendering, like an iconic scene from Akira, right? To emulating gouache painting brushes in Procreate. Like, those are two totally different types of digital art, and they're both digital art. We've got so many different options to us that it's kind of like putting stereotypes on biology majors or engineering majors. Like, are we talking bridges for engineering, or are we talking like ecology and social engineering? And same with biology. Like, there's so many different focuses in biology, anything from literal genetics to the way that animals interact with each other. Totally different mediums. But yeah, mini vent over. That was just such a frustrating thing to hear, and it's just so disappointing, right? Because, you know, as like an artist myself, it's just so disheartening to hear that those people who, you know, art is such like kind of an insecure field. You know, like artwork comes from stuff that you create. It's inherently you. And so there's a lot more room for hurtfulness and personalization and bringing like personal conflict into your work and your profession, because it's inherently creative as opposed to other more like computer-based or analytical-based professions like HR or computer science. It's like inherently tied to you as a person. So to have children, these are usually children, right, willingly understand that as an artist and choose to submit themselves to critique and growth for the sake of growth in art classes, and then to have a teacher say this to you. How is that not just wrong on so many different levels? Okay, I seriously said I was gonna stop talking about it, so I'll stop now. But I don't know if anybody has noticed, I haven't been posting nearly as much over the past month or two. It feels like 2 months at this point. things have just been going downhill since Anime Crossroads. I'm not gonna lie. I spent February revamping my shop in order to be ready for Anime Crossroads. I made 12 or 13 new designs to bring with me. It was insane. I spent the whole month working my ass off to get ready for that convention. The day after I get home from that convention, you guys, I'm assuming you guys have seen the vlog, if you guys watched the video. I was exhausted. I don't think I have to re-explain how exhausting that event was. I get home from the event, the next day, the very next day, I test positive for COVID. I spend the next 2 weeks reeling from COVID. I had never gotten COVID before. It hit me really hard. It's difficult for me to take breaks, and it's difficult for me to take breaks, especially when I'm sick, because if I'm not actively like throwing up or feeling in so much pain that I can't get out of bed, I'm gonna keep working. For better or for worse, I just feel compelled to keep working. And so I spent the next 2 weeks after Anime Crossroads just totally on my ass. I had absolutely no energy to do anything at all whatsoever. The second I get back to work, 2 weeks later, I find out that the very week that I got COVID and left, like the next day, the building had a meeting to discuss financial changes to my employment. The budget was cut, and all part-time staff had to lose a mandatory percentage of hours. So, the agreement that I had with my employment when I got hired with them was that I would work this minimum amount of hours in order to make my rent. And with these budget changes, randomly in February, first of all, I wasn't able to afford my bills anymore. So I've been spending the past month and a half, month or so, looking for a new job, and that's why I haven't been posting as much. YouTube, it can take me anywhere from 6 to 20 hours to edit a video, and that's not including like the research that goes into it, or like the uploading and putting in like the chapters, sourcing the music that I use. I try to source copyright, royalty-free music from smaller indie artists so that I'm not, like playing the same generic YouTube music for you guys. Which, by the way, let me talk about the soundtrack for today. Today I'm playing the 8-bit fantasy and adventure album from Davinci. I'm constantly looking for chiptunes to include in my videos. I don't know what I love so much about it, but I love that video game aesthetic while drawing or sharing like a video with you guys. I feel like it captures the kind of energy, the dynamic and creative energy that I'm going for with my art, and it seems like you guys like the music as well. But I was so happy to find this album on YouTube the other day. It's totally stream friendly and ready to use in any commercial or non-commercial project, and I'm just so grateful to artists that are willing to do this with their work. It makes the job of other artists like me so much easier. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about random stuff for now. The drawing's finishing up, and I really wanted to have some closing words with it. This art definitely took a lot out of me, but I'm so happy with how it turned out. I think the pattern of the hair is so crispy, and I love the effects that were put onto the hair, like the heart highlights and the noise and chromatic aberration that I added to it. The filtering just really brought it out for me. And I hope you guys loved watching me make this as much as I loved making it myself. And again, please go follow Frankie on Instagram. I'm gonna show their original character Wing and their Instagram again right here for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching again and listening to my silly rants. I hope this was an entertaining video for you guys, and I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Bye!